Yo, what's up, my fellow immortals, and welcome back to Holy Ground Gaming. I'm your host, Russell Nash, and this is the #1 spot for Highlander, the card game. This is the third video in the new series that I'm doing called Immortal Spotlights, where we take a look at the immortals that are found in the game and we spotlight the best cards that come in their sets. I thought it'd be awesome to go over the Spanish Peacock Ramirez himself. He was Connor McLeod's teacher and mentor and friend in the movies. So I really think this is going to be a lot of fun. Ramirez is a super fun immortal to play. I can't wait to dive into this. Stick around to the end of the video where I give my holy ground rating, and that's where we talk about the lore accuracy, the fun factor, and the power level of this immortal. So stick around for that. I can't wait for it. Without further ado, let's check out the Spanish Peacock and see what he's got to offer. So right away, we're going to take a look at Ramirez's persona and his persona power. So Ramirez's persona power says you can include up to 12 slashes in your deck. And if you only play one attack per turn, your opponent must discard a dodge to play a dodge from their hand against that attack, right? Very powerful power, very strong power. It's giving you two different things here. You can have 12 slashes, and if you only play one attack per turn, then your opponent's got to discard a dodge to play a dodge from their hand. That's very strong. So if you're throwing out a bunch of powerful attacks, right, one big powerful attack per turn, your opponent's going to have to pitch a dodge to play a dodge from their hand against that attack. Awesome power. I think it fits Ramirez extremely well, especially being able to include the 12 slashes in your deck. So right away, we're starting off with a very strong power for a very, very cool immortal. Now, Ramirez is an ancient immortal. He has been around for a long time. That's why we would consider him like a true master of the game, right? That's why Ramirez has 7 master card slots. That's a lot. Most immortals only get 5 or 6, but being Ramirez, he's an ancient immortal. He's been around for a long time. He's taken many heads, so he's definitely a master of the game. That's why he's going to get 7 master card slots. Now, he's also going to get a bunch of agility. He's not going to be stacked heavy in toughness or strength, but he does have a good amount of empathy and reason as well, because Ramirez was a good soul as an immortal. He wasn't inherently evil. So I think the developers did a good job balancing out his attributes. So that's what Ramirez's power is. Let's dive in to take a look at some of the best cards that come in his set. So we're going to take a look at the special cards that come in Ramirez's set first. We're going to go over these. Now, the first one we're going to talk about is called Measure of Life, and it's a situation. Now, Measure of Life says retrieve. That's the keyword. At the end of your draw or discard phase, place the bottom card of your discard pile on the bottom of your endurance. This is a cumulative effect. That is a very, very good card. That's why it's in there. Now, basically what this is allowing you to do is at the end of your draw or discard phase, or basically at the end of your turn, you can take the bottom card of your discard pile and place it at the bottom of your endurance. What does that mean when it says it's a cumulative effect? That basically means that if you have more than one copy of Measure of Life in play, right? Let's say you have 3 copies of Measure of Life in play. That means at the end of your draw or discard phase, you're going to be able to take 3 cards from your discard pile and place them at the bottom of your endurance. That's very strong. That's a really great situation to have. You keep throwing them down, and the more cards, the more Measure of Life that you have in play, the more cards from your discard pile you can put it at the bottom of your endurance. Now, if you pair that with something like Silas Q, where every single time you play a card, you can put the bottom card of your discard pile at the bottom of your endurance, that's gonna be extra strong. So this is a very good card. I think that it's one of his best situations that you can find in his set. So let's take a look at the next one. So the next special card that you can find in Ramirez's set is an object hilt, right? That's what it is. It's an object and it's a hilt. It's called the Lion's Head hilt, right? And it says you may only include this card in your deck if you are using the katana weapon of choice. And we all know Ramirez loves his katana, right? It says you may play an additional attack during your turn if that attack is a slash, and your opponent must discard a dodge to play a dodge from their hand. So that's pairing perfectly with his persona power, right? It's giving you 2 different things. You can play an additional attack if that attack is a slash, and the second keyword is that your opponent must discard a dodge to play a dodge from their hand. So you pair that with his immortal persona power, right, where they got to discard a dodge to play a dodge from their hand. If you're only playing one attack, you use the Lion's Head hilt with the katana. Now they've got to pitch 2 dodges to play a dodge from their hand against your attack. Now, the lion's head hilt is also allowing you to play an additional attack if that attack is a slash, and Ramirez is all about slashes. So it's a very good card if you're going to be using the katana. I would highly recommend using the lion's head hilt if you're going to use the katana. Great card. That's why it's in there. It should be spotlighted. I would definitely take a look at it. So let's take a look at his next special card that comes in his set. So the next special card that I think is one of the best ones in his set is called Master's Advantage. And this is a situation as well. It says your opponent cannot use their persona power and you can ignore their persona power. So that's really strong right off the bat. I mean, that's basically saying, hey, your opponent cannot use their persona power. Whatever power that is, they can't use it, and you can ignore their persona power, right? So they can't use their power to affect you, and you can ignore their power so you can get around whatever the other immortal is trying to do to you. Very good card. It is a Master's card though, so keep in mind that. But Ramirez does have 7 Master card slots, so very good card, very strong, one of his best situations. So let's take a look at the last special card that I feel should be spotlighted in Ramirez's set. Now this card is a plot, right? That's what kind of special card it is, and it's called We Are Brothers. You gain your opponent's persona power, right? So that's very strong. If you're going to be leaning heavily into special cards, you definitely want to take a look at this plot, right? So whatever your opponent's persona power is, you throw down this plot and you gain your opponent's persona power, whatever power that is, right? So that's a very strong special card. It's definitely one of his best. That's why it's in there being spotlighted. So I would definitely take a look at all of these special cards that I've mentioned because I do believe that they are the best in Ramirez's set. So we're going to get into the edge cards that come in Ramirez's set. And the first one that comes up is called Teacher of Many. It is an edge card. Now, Teacher of Many says allowance. That's the key word. You may include one non-master card from another persona in your deck, and you can only play or put that card into play in conjunction with this card. So that's basically allowing you to take a non-master card from another immortal, and you're able to use that in your deck. Now, that kind of fits perfectly with Ramirez's lore, right? He's a master. He's a teacher of many. I'm sure that he's had many students in the past that he's taught different tricks and tips to, and he's also learned from those immortals. That's why he's allowed to use another immortal's non-master cards in his deck with that Teacher of Many card. Very good card. Teacher of Many is definitely one of the best cards in the game. That's why it's being spotlighted, and Ramirez is definitely deserving of a Teacher of Many card. Let's take a look at the next edge card. So the next edge card that we're going to take a look at is called The Magic Works, and it is an edge card. This card says, this card does not count towards your deck construction limits. Play this card during your may do, must do phase. If your opponent played a headshot during their last turn, you may immediately draw a card from the top of your endurance, right? And it says this card satisfies any cost required to play this card from your hand during your turn. So basically what that means is, hey, if your opponent's trying to take your head last turn, you can play this card, okay? And then you immediately draw a card from the top of your endurance. That's basically giving you like a top deck. Maybe you don't have the defense in your hand at that time and you don't want to make an exertion for it right away. This is going to allow you to draw a card from the top of your endurance and hopefully get the defense that you need. Very strong card. It's an edge card, and I definitely believe it should be spotlighted. That's why it's in there. So definitely a very strong card. If you're in a tight situation where your opponent played a headshot, boom, you throw out the Magic Works, you draw that top card, and hopefully you found the defense to defend yourself against that edge card. And that's what Ramirez is going to do. He's a master immortal. He's kept his head for many, many years, centuries even. So definitely a good edge card. That's why it's in there. So the next edge card that we're going to look at that is found in Ramirez's set is called Master's Headshot. Now, this is an edge. Now, he is a master of the game, so he should have his own Master's Headshot, right? So it says play in conjunction with a non-special attack that is titled Slash, right? That covers only the upper grids. This attack can now be made a power blow, and this attack is now a headshot, right? So that's very strong. You're going to play an upper row slash, you're going to play Master's Headshot, and that card is now a headshot, right? So that slash is now a power blow. It's got to be to the upper grids though. Very strong card. Those upper 3 grids are very hard to defend if you don't have something in your hand to defend it. So of course Ramirez should get a Master's Headshot. That's why it's in there. He's a master of the game. So very good card. Definitely take a look at it. All right, so the last edge card that I feel is the best that needs to be spotlighted in Ramirez's set is his very own Alertness, right? So this is an edge, and this edge card says, play during your may do, must do phase. For the remainder of your turn, you may block attacks that cannot be blocked and dodge attacks that cannot be dodged, right? So normally you would have to use a generic alertness edge, right, to get around that. But this is his own alertness because he is a master of the game. This is going to get 2 for 1, right? So if your opponent's throwing out an unblockable attack or an undodgeable attack, this alertness is going to allow you to get either one of those, right? So that's very strong. And I definitely would recommend putting these in your deck if you're going to be building a Ramirez deck. This is one of the best edge cards that I think come in his set. Very strong. It gets both unblockable and undodgeable. That's why it's in there. I love this card. When I build my Ramirez decks, I always throw in some of his alertness. They're really, really good. That's why they're being spotlighted. So I think that a lot of the Immortals that don't have necessarily their own edge cards, like their own alertness, you're going to have to be using those generics. But because Ramirez is a master of the game, he's able to have his own alertness. So I would definitely take a look at that edge card. So let's get into some of Ramirez's defenses, right? Some of the best defenses that I feel come in his set. Now, the first one is going to be his Master's Dodge, and it's restricted to 3. So you can only have 3 copies of his Master's Dodge in your deck, right? So it says if your next attack played this turn is a slash, it does an additional point of damage. That's very strong. The defense is giving you card text to allow you to boost the damage of your slashes. Very good card, restricted to 3. I would highly recommend using his Master's Dodge. Now let's take a look at the next defense that comes in Ramirez's set, right? And that's going to be his Master's Block. And now his Master's Block is restricted to 2 and its signature, which means no other Immortal can use his Master's Block, right? That's why it's a signature card for him. So if they have a Teacher of Many, they're not going to be able to pull Ramirez's Master's Block and put it in their deck. So Master's Block says defenses will not block or avoid multiple attacks you play this turn, and you can attack the areas you just blocked this turn. Very strong. If you're going to be using the Lion's Head hilt to throw out an additional slash, right? This Master's Block's card text is basically saying, hey, defenses are not going to block or avoid multiple attacks per turn. So very good card. Definitely one of the best Master Blocks in the game. I love this card. It allows you to attack back to areas that you just blocked. And it's also allowing you to get around your opponent's stipulations if they're going to be able to block multiple attacks with one defense. So very good card, one of the best defenses that is found in Ramirez's set. So let's take a look at his last defense that I think needs to be spotlighted in his set. So the last defense that I think should be spotlighted in Ramirez's set is a counter. Now it's a duck, right? It's a dodge, right? That's what it is. It's a dodge, but it's a certain type of dodge. It's a duck. So it's like he's ducking under an attack. Now, duck says you may ignore the effects of any location in play that would prevent you from playing this defense from your hand, right? So, or from playing this dodge, right? So a lot of locations will say, like Lighthouse, for example, any player who plays an unsuccessful attack cannot play a dodge from their hand during their turn, right? And there's a couple of different locations that are going to restrict you from playing dodges from your hand. But this card, because of its card text, is going to get around that, right? So just because of the card text, you're able to play it, right? So if your opponent throws out a headshot and they've got a certain location in play that's going to prevent you from playing a dodge from your hand, boom, you throw out your duck and you're able to play it normally and you're able to get around that headshot or whatever they're trying to do for you. Very good card, one of the best ones found in his set. So let's get into the attacks that are found in Ramirez's set, right? So the first one that we're going to talk about is Impale. It's a special attack and it does 3 damage. And Impale says you may only play this card if you're using the Ramirez persona. This attack cannot be blocked or dodged, and you cannot use any retrieval effects to retrieve this card from your discard pile, right? So it's very straightforward. You throw it out there, you're using Ramirez, can't be blocked, can't be dodged, doing 3 damage, boom, right? You can't retrieve it, but that's okay. Very strong attack. It's kind of like his own killer precision where it can't be blocked or can't be dodged. Very strong card. That's why it's in his set. That's why it's being spotlighted. So if you're going to build a Ramirez deck, definitely take a look at the Impale attack. So the next attack that we're going to take a look at is titled Slash, Basic Attack, right? So this counts as a basic attack. It's doing 1 damage normally and 2 damage as a power blow, and it's restricted to 2, right? So it says this attack cannot be a headshot. If the last defense you played this turn was a counter duck, this attack is a power blow. You may not use any retrieval effects to retrieve this card from your discard, right? So we know that in Highlander, you have to have 9 basic attacks in your deck for your deck to be legal. This slash is restricted to 2. So that means that you can take out 2 of your basic attack requirements and add in this slash, right? And now the text of this slash is also allowing you to make it a power blow if you played a counter duck last turn, right? And so that's very strong. The card text is very good. Just because it says basic attack, that means that you can substitute 2 of them, right? So now you only have to have 7 basic attacks in your deck, including these slashes, right? So you got 7 basic attacks and 2 of these slashes, that equals 9. Very strong card. It's able to be made a power blow if you play the duck in your defense phase. Very strong card. So the last attack that comes in his set that I feel like is the best one that needs to be spotlighted is simply titled Slash. It doesn't have any card text. It has no stipulations that it's going to throw onto your opponent. The reason why I feel like this is a very good card, one of the best attacks in his set, is because of the grids that the attack covers. They're not straight across. They're on different sides and the bottom of the attack grids, right? So it's very difficult to deal with. This slash is not just a normal slash. It's his own type of slash. That's why I threw it in there. Most slashes are going to cover 3 grids in a row, whether they're diagonal, straight across, whatever it may be. But this is a very difficult attack to deal with. It's doing 1 damage, but the difficulty of dealing with this attack is why I threw it in there. And it's his own slash. So it's a very good card. That's why it's in there. Very straightforward slash. It's giving you those awkward grids to try to defend. So that's why it's in there. Very, very good card. I love this slash. If you're going to build a Ramirez deck, definitely take a look at this slash. Definitely one of the best ones in his deck. Okay, so we're going to get into the Holy Ground rating. This is where we talk about the power of the Immortal, the lore accuracy, and the fun factor. So right off the bat, his power level, right? What is Ramirez's power level? I would give Ramirez a solid B+ to A-. He has a really, really good power. He doesn't have too many weaknesses because he is an ancient immortal, so he's a master of the game. That's why I'm going to rate Ramirez at a B+ or an A-. That's what I think his rating is, his power rating is. Very strong power, very good power. I love playing and building Ramirez decks. Now, let's talk about the lore accuracy of Ramirez when it comes to his cards and how he plays in the game. So I found that his lore accuracy is very true to the Highlander lore, right? So I feel like the designers did a very good job conveying the lore of Ramirez, where he has a good amount of empathy, a good amount of reason. He's very agile, and of course he has 7 master cards slots, because he is an ancient immortal and he has been around for centuries, probably thousands of years. So definitely lore accurate. Now, the last bit of the Holy Ground rating is the fun factor. Is Ramirez a fun immortal to play and to use? My rating is yes, he is very, very fun. Building decks for Ramirez, he has multiple different ways you can build him. It's super fun to make a Ramirez deck and slash up your opponent, or play heavy power blows where they've got to pitch a dodge to play a dodge because you're only playing 1 attack per turn, using the Lion's Head hilt to play an additional slash. Then they have to pitch 2 dodges. Ramirez is definitely a very fun immortal to play. Now, he doesn't have a lot of weaknesses, but he does have some. But when it comes to power, lore accuracy, and fun factor, when all 3 of those, I would give Ramirez a solid A rating overall. When it comes to power, lore accuracy, and fun factor, he gets an A. Super fun to play, very powerful, and lore accurate. Well, that's going to do it, guys, for this Immortal Spotlight of the Spanish Peacock himself, Ramirez. He was Connor McLeod's teacher, mentor, and friend. I definitely had a lot of fun making this video. I hope it was insightful. We got to take a look at some of the best cards that come in his set and what they do and why they are the best. Consider becoming an immortal today and hitting that subscribe button. We are on the road to 500 immortals, or 500 subscribers. I really think we can do it, guys. If you liked this video, leave it a thumbs up. If you hated this video, leave it a thumbs down. Tell me down in the comments who you want to see spotlighted next. Be on the lookout for that next video. Don't lose your heads out there, and remember, there can be only one collectible card game.